This is Geek Therapy Radio.
What are we waiting for?
And now your mental curator, Johnny Hamburger.
Welcome to this edition of Midweek Geek. I'm your mental curator, Johnny Hamburger. Midweek Geek is podcast only, and usually I put them up on YouTube also, but they're timed in such a way that they are easily consumable on a commute. So if you're driving home from work, for instance, or driving to work the next day, I usually release Midweek Geek on Tuesday nights or Wednesday mornings, but usually 99% of the time, it's Tuesday nights. So that is the format. There's no segments here. As my, subscribers already know, there's no segments. This is not like a typical radio show where it's all has to be timed out into individual, 8 minutes and 10 minutes, 11 minutes, 10 minutes. Nope. This is going to go about 15 minutes usually for these Midweek Geeks, sometimes more, sometimes less. So if you're not already subscribed to Geek Therapy Radio, make sure you do that. You can search, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can find Geek Therapy Radio on most podcast apps, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, the podcast app on your iPhone. What else? Pocket Casts. I love Pocket Casts for Android. Just all over the place. Of course, the iHeart Radio app, because I do work at an iHeart radio station, KPRC 950 AM in Houston. And all the social media at Geek Therapy Radio. So this week I've got a few things just to kind of glance, just kind of glancing by a few things, commenting on a few things. The first thing I want to say, just while it's on the top of my head, is Craigslist is a nightmare. Putting something on Craigslist to sell anything on Craigslist is just a nightmare, and it gets worse and worse. It's like, here's what I've noticed, because I've got a motorcycle for sale on Craigslist here in Houston. If you put in the title, first things first, star, 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 all caps, please read carefully, star, star, star. And then you say, 2003 Yamaha V-Star 650. And then you go through in the description and you say, please, for the love of God, read carefully. And please say the password in any correspondence so they know you're not a bot or you're not whatever. So and I say use a password to eliminate people, hopefully reduce, let's just be real here, reduce the amount of spam. So I've said read carefully and use this passphrase. How many people do you think read carefully? How many people do you think text my phone or send me emails asking questions about the bike that are very clearly described in the description of the bike? It is mind-numbing. The more you tell somebody to just pay attention so this process can go as easily as possible. They'll ask, does it run? I don't know. What does it say in the post? What does it say in the part where I said read carefully? Does it have this? What's the VIN number? It's all there. Did you read it? Did you read it carefully? I'm sorry to vent. But I guarantee you so many people listening to this and watching this absolutely agree with me that Craigslist is just a nightmare. So if you have better suggestions on what I can put this motorcycle on to help sell it in a much easier, less spammy way, get people wanting to buy from me that, use proper syntax and grammar, and I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, if you're emailing me and you have the context or the syntax and English capabilities of a Nigerian pirate, then I'm probably not going to do business with you or respond. So if any of you know a better way to sell stuff, please let me know. But let's move on to some more techie stuff. I just needed to vent for a minute. I love my Pebble. I have the Pebble, Pebble Time here. Pebble went under a few years ago, and I've said it on my show a few times, even when it was going under. I was so bummed that it didn't go under. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Fitbit bought Pebble, and I was very sad about that, because what I love about the Pebble and what Pebble owners loved about the Pebble was this e-ink display that is always on. You don't have to shake your watch, to make the face wake up just to see the freaking time. It's always there. The battery lasts for 7 to 10 days, which is amazing, and it's just everything you need in a smartwatch and nothing you don't. So Pebble users were very, very dedicated, very, very, I don't want to say, entrenched isn't the right word, just very dedicated to the whole Pebble company and Pebble ecosystem. In case you don't know, this is for all you people who loved Pebble but were disappointed to see it go to Fitbit. Pebble, you can still use your Pebble. There is a group called Rebel that keeps all of those servers, for the most part, online. You do have to pay $3 a month now, currently, and I think that might be reduced in the future. It's just this upstart cost, I guess, to keep things running until we have more subscribers and stuff. But pull your Pebble out of the drawer, charge it up again. You can use all your stuff for the most part now. You can use voice recognition. You can use what else? Weather. Some timeline stuff. The point is that there is a group called Rebel keeping the Pebble alive indefinitely. So go check them out. Just Google Pebble Rebel, and you'll be there. The setup is really easy. You can do it all from your phone. So take heart, Pebble lovers who thought your Pebble was just dead. It's not dead. It has been kept alive by Rebel. So that's good news. The other good news, a week ago or so, I ripped Apple a new one. Maybe that's what I did on my last Midweek Geek. Was that it on last Tuesday? Was it just to rip Apple a new one for ChargeGate? I still maintain, by the way, stop calling things gate. ChargeGate wasn't a controversy. It was just a mistake on Apple's part. One of quite a few, in my opinion. But iOS 12.1 officially fixes the charging issue. And for those of you who are uninitiated, a lot of iPhone XSs and XS Maxes, 10Ss, 10S Maxes, however you want to call it, a lot of them were having problems doing a basic function such as charging. You would plug it in while the phone was, screen off, just in standby mode. You'd plug it in and nothing would happen. It wouldn't charge. It would only start charging once you had the screen on. So you'd plug in your phone overnight and wake up in the morning and it's just dead. It wasn't charging at all. So iOS 12.1 fixed that. My main beef, just a brief recap with Apple, was that they never mentioned it. They never put word out to the public that they were aware of the situation or that they were working on it. That is a massive oversight. And I took that as one of Apple's many insults to the consumer. Now, before any fanboys and girls, quote unquote, I hate that term, but fanboys and girls get at me for being mad at Apple, calling Apple out on its mistakes. The last episode of Geek Therapy Radio, the actual broadcast, which is also a podcast, I tore Microsoft a new one for the Surface line. The Surface line, the cheapest Surface, the Surface Go has USB-C. The Surface Pro 6, that starts at like $900, doesn't have USB-C, doesn't have Thunderbolt 3. It's 2018. That means Microsoft is going into 2019 with no Thunderbolt 3 on their Surface Pro line. Microsoft hasn't even said if their Surface Studio 2 has Thunderbolt 3. That thing starts at about $3,500. And the reason why they're probably not saying that it has Thunderbolt 3 or not is probably because it doesn't. And they don't want to say that their $3,500 device doesn't support Thunderbolt 3. And again, I hope I'm severely wrong on that. I hope I have egg on my face about that. But the fact that Microsoft isn't saying it leads me to lean at least 51% towards that. They don't have Thunderbolt 3 even on their $3,500 device. Move on. Google. This is not really to throw them under the bus necessarily, because they're doing something that Apple's already been doing. The Google Pixel 3 is out. It's not out. There was a press event today to announce the Google Pixel 3. Yes, the camera is absolute baller status. The camera is amazing. But the big buzz now, the big word in the industry among all tech reviewers and all bloggers and vloggers and doodly-doos and phone aficionados is that freaking notch. It's amazing. And by amazing, I mean horrible. The notch is huge. The notch in the phone takes up a noticeable and intrusive amount of screen real estate. Google, what were you thinking with that notch? Of all the companies in the world, that notch is ridiculous. But you know what? This is just my opinion now. Everyone's been harping on that notch. But most people who are harping on that notch, most reviewers who are harping on that notch are still excited to use the phone. It is my opinion now that I don't care about the phone. I don't care about the camera being the best, quote unquote. It might actually be benchmarked the best. But I'm not very excited about the Google Pixel 3 because they're taking a page out of Apple's book. There's no expandable storage and no headphone jack. I can almost forgive in 2018 the no headphone jack. It's just something Apple does, and it's not just Apple. There's more Android devices that also are dropping the headphone jack. Not Samsung, thank God. But no headphone jack is one thing. The no expandable storage thing, that is real. I was excited about the Google Pixel 3. But now no expandable storage. That's a big thumbs down from me. I will not be picking up the Google Pixel 3. I don't care if you can get it with 128 gigs or whatever the top spec is. I want expandable storage. It's 2018. Almost 2019. A lot of other flagships have storage. The Samsung's S9, S9 Plus, Note 9, all of it has expandable storage to throw in a micro SD card. I think it's up to like 480 gigabytes officially. Unofficially, it's probably more than that. The point is, you can throw in, is it up to 2 terabytes theoretically? Whatever, doesn't matter. Point is, you can put in expandable storage. What are you thinking, Google? No headphone jack, no expandable storage, and a massive notch. Hey, but the camera's great. So what do you think about the Google Pixel 3? If you're watching this on YouTube, comment below. Do you think you're going to pick up a Google Pixel 3? I'm not. No expandable storage, deal breaker. What else here? What else other tech news? Oh, this is something kind of interesting. And I don't mean to geek out. This is not like meaning to be morbid or anything, because last year I did go to Italy, went to Mount Vesuvius, went to Pompeii. It was highly interesting, highly educational. It was a blast. Pun intended. About that blast, scientists are now doing new analysis of human remains, and they're showing that a lot of the victims previously thought, and honestly, this is mostly probably what happened, they were asphyxiated by the ash and the fallout when Mount Vesuvius exploded. But they're finding more and more evidence to show that a lot more victims suffered horrendous deaths when the lava flow was so hot and moved so fast. The pyroclastic flow is what they call it. But it was so hot that it literally instantaneously boiled all the fluids in a person's body, including their brain, and their heads just exploded from the heat. That's gnarly. I'm going to insert a thing of Butters saying, "Oh, geez," right here. Yes, Butters. That is nuts. That is sleep well tonight, guys. Smart glasses project image right into your eyeballs. Okay, whatever. Tree houses are cool. There's a tree house in Texas that basically has every amenity that you could imagine, including a hot tub inside of it, master bedroom. At what point is it just a house in a tree versus a tree house? That's for you to decide. I would love to have a tree house. I'm a grown ass man. I would love to have a badass tree house with like a few arcade machines in it, a bar. Oh, I could probably do the rest of the show just imagining my fantasy tree house. No girls allowed. I guess Sarah could come. I'm not going to get derailed too much on that. Microsoft's new cloud service allows you to stream some Xbox One games to your devices, to your phone, to your browser, to whatever. That's cool. I think we're just a few years away, especially because of this new Verizon 5G service that's rolling out to Houston and Los Angeles and other cities where the latency is so low. Once we get that latency down far enough, Netflix-style gaming becomes more viable. Like if these pings are less than 10 seconds back each way, then yeah. NVIDIA has their GeForce or game streaming, their service. Like I still have it on my Shield, NVIDIA Shield tablet. Yes, I still have an NVIDIA Shield tablet. But the point is, game streaming becomes more and more viable once you can be on a network with a very low ping, because that's the biggest hindrance to streaming is not just bandwidth, but ping. Ping can make competitive games unplayable, of course. So Google is working on new technology, and again, with 5G rolling out across the country going forward, I think game streaming becomes more and more viable. Which brings up a whole nother discussion about GPUs and graphics cards and how necessary they'll be going into the future. If you could just have a whole farm of them remotely, like at NVIDIA servers or Google servers, do you need? How many more generations of consumer NVIDIA graphics cards or AMD graphics cards are we really going to need? Is the 2000 series, the RTX 2080, is that one of the last cards we're going to need once game streaming becomes more and more viable? That's going to be very interesting going forward. That's something to think about. Hubble telescope operations are suspended after a technical failure. So that means right now we don't really have anything floating around in orbit like the Hubble. The James Webb Telescope it's going to blow the Hubble out of the water, but the James Webb Telescope keeps getting delayed. And right now the Hubble isn't even working. The gyroscope is messed up. So possibly rip Hubble. And I think the last story here for Midweek Geek, just to round things out, is that, remember Voyager 1 left the solar system months, if not years ago. It is way out there past Pluto, past the Oort cloud. It is in interstellar space now. Voyager 2. Remember Voyager 2? It is now leaving our solar system, and Voyager 2 is on its way to interstellar space. So that's cool. 2 man-made objects now are reaching. One of them is already in interstellar space, and the second one is already reaching interstellar space. So that's going to be 2 man-made objects in interstellar space. Thanks for watching Geek Therapy. Well, I guess you are watching if you're watching on YouTube. Thanks for listening and watching Midweek Geek this week. I've been Johnny Hemberger, your mental curator. Just a quick minute out here for Audi Central Houston before we sign off officially. Audi Central Houston, I don't think I need to say too much about how sexy and how technology-packed Audis are. No matter what Audi you want, from the A3 to the R8, they're packed with so much geekiness and so much beautiful technology that the cars basically sell themselves. And like I mentioned, from the A3 to the R8, there is an Audi in every budget. Go check out the A3s. They are more affordable than you think. The lease terms on them are downright attractive, if I do say so myself. So make sure you go to AudiCentralHouston.com to start your Audi perusings. I know they really appreciate it. Tell them Geek Therapy Radio sent you. And then when you've started to narrow down your decision, actually drive. They're right off of 59 to Audi Central Houston, right there in Houston. Tell Danny Posey, the GM, that I sent you, that Johnny Hemberger from Geek Therapy Radio sent you, and they'll take really great care of you. I've been a customer of Audi Central Houston since years before the show ever started. So Audi Central Houston and AudiCentralHouston.com is your best bet for geeking out over a new Audi. Guys, that's going to do it. Thank you for being with me this week. Be good to each other. Take care of yourself. That's the best way to be good to each other, is take care of yourself. You're not going to do any good to anybody if you're no good. So be good to yourself and go out in the world and spread some goodness. There's too much hate, too much division, too much politics dividing us. Be the good in the world. Hug your neighbor. Hug the Democrat. Hug the Republican. Just be good to each other. That's what the world needs more of. Until next week, I'm Johnny Hemberger. I've been your mental curator. Thanks for listening to Geek Therapy Radio's Midweek Geek.